What's up guys, Gannon here, back with another video. Today we are in the captain's chair. I got my captain's jacket on and I'm finally ready to talk about Star Trek Discovery Season 2. Oh boy, was Season 2 like way better than Season 1. Spoiler warning, of course, I'm going to be talking about everything that goes on, even though this has been out for a while now. At the time of filming this, it should be, January 21st. Yesterday, January 20th, if I'm not mistaken, was Martin Luther King Day, and it was also day that our Lord and Savior was born. I'm of course talking about DeForest Kelley. Yeah, just had to mention in this video real quick, happy birthday Bones. The first episode of Star Trek Picard comes out this Thursday in 2 days, and I am planning on making a review of like every episode as it releases. But anyways, with that all out of the way, let's get to the actual review of the season. Now, at the start of this season, you could definitely tell that they were going more of the like canonical route. The first season had its own kind of setting and story. It was a little bit provocative, a little bit different and out there for Trek. Very similar to what they did with the new Star Wars trilogy. I actually saw the last Star Wars movie today. I actually thought it was really good. I thought the previous two Star Wars movies to come out of Disney in this saga were dog shit, but I see kind of a repeating theme here where the first season of Star Trek Discovery was of course provocative, but they kind of decided to cast Anson Mount and bring in Captain Pike, and wow, you obviously see that they are trying to wrap up a lot of things and make them a lot more canonical. For instance, the Klingons, that's the first thing that I gotta address. Like, the Klingons throughout this whole season just became more and more like the Klingons that we come to know. Also, a lot of the complaints about like the canon issues in season 1 was like, okay, well, how the hell can Michael Burnham even exist? This character was never mentioned ever in any other previous series, which didn't bother me personally. I understand that if you're going to have to continue a franchise and you're going to have to work on pre-existing characters, that you're going to have to bring some new awesome ones to light. At the end of the season, you realize that since they traveled in time and then there was this whole debacle, Spock actually implies that they need to do this special order where everybody who was involved in this little incident needs to be quiet about it and never reference it again. Basically never talk about Michael Burnham or the U.S.S. Discovery like in person ever again, or they're going to be literally court-martialed, which is a very, very appropriate explanation for why Spock has failed to mention that he had this adopted stepsister in any other Trek series before. The only thing that kind of like pulled a string with me, the canonical issues in this particular season, was in the two-parter season finale, Such Sweet Sorrow, when the Enterprise is taking like totally like huge amounts of damage from Leland's fleet. Captain Pike decides to order out the, I think they're called the Dot 7s or something. They were literally like droids, or yeah, like robots that popped out of the Enterprise and started repairing it. I've always questioned why they haven't used robots or droids in Star Trek. I think it's like Gene Roddenberry really didn't want them in Star Trek, or AI. That's also kind of new. The appearance of artificial intelligence and robots and droids in science fiction always arise like humanitarian as well as just ethical issues. I don't think they were part of Gene's original vision for Star Trek. I think, like, I know that Gene Roddenberry has this list set of rules and like canonical rules to follow for future versions of Star Trek after he kind of, you know, like died and left and stopped making Star Trek. And, you know, I just don't think that having like robots, I don't know like if that was appropriate, if that was like a big canonical red flag. You know, they were obviously really well animated and looked nice, but I just don't know how appropriate that is for Trek. That is the only criticism that I can make from a canonical standpoint. Now, with that criticism out of the way, let's get like everything that I absolutely loved about this season. Okay, so we got a little bit more insight into the Kelpians. The Kelpians were like a big part of the season. We had this whole episode where they go to Kaminar and we get all this backstory. We basically learn everything about Saru as a character. I mean, there's not much more to him than this identity as a Kelpian. that left Kaminar, who's always kind of like afraid because of his ganglion, but in this season he loses his ganglion and you really see his ability to command come out. It's really awesome. I love all the twists and turns, and just everything this season does is really great. But guys, there is something that I really need to talk about. I do wear the captain's jacket. I've mentioned on previous occasions that I purchased this jacket because it looked so freaking cool. I love the designs for Star Trek Discovery. You learned that the actual design for this jacket is only seen a couple times in Star Trek Discovery because it was like the pre-standard issue, like this is what happened before they had the blue and like gold and copper accents and then like the white uniforms. They had the standard red, yellow, and blue, like very vibrant uniforms. Captain Pike was actually out exploring the frontier during the events of season 1 during the Klingon War. So when he returns, he's still wearing like, you know, the old uniforms, which happen to be like way cooler than the current uniforms, might I add. But let's just get on to Captain Pike, guys. Anson Mount's performance for this character was absolutely stunning. I thought Captain Pike was cool just seeing pictures of him, just seeing him in the captain's chair, just seeing him in the jacket. The way they brought him to life, the nuances that they found in like the original Cage episode that they decided to bring into this character to make him truly Starfleet's finest. Like, I'm not even gonna front here, guys. I was personally inspired and just, I kind of idolize Captain Pike. I think he's everything that I want a Star Trek captain to be. He's cool. He's loyal, he follows Starfleet's codes and ethics to a T, and then let's not forget the scene when he picks up the time crystal and he is met with this decision. It's not really a hard decision in retrospect because it's either he does this and saves the universe or he doesn't do this, but on a personal note, imagine being a Starfleet captain, right? You have to be kind of aware that everybody looks up to and everybody thinks you're kind of a cool badass. I think all Starfleet captains kind of know that on the inside and have this layer of vanity. I think Captain Pike understands that he's a handsome ass, very charismatic Starfleet captain, and he can basically have anything he wants. So it's very troubling for him personally probably to see a future where his face is just totally distorted and just messed up, and like this whole image of him being independent, him being handsome, him being charismatic is just basically stripped away from him. He's reduced down to this chair. His face is just basically not recognizable, but he takes the time crystal anyway, and he's like, oh, I'm not going to abandon everything that I've ever known for a future that I did not foresee for myself. As soon as I heard those words out of Captain Pike's fucking mouth, guys, I swear to God, like I went on my run that night and I ran like twice or maybe even 3 times as fast as I usually do. I sprint and haul ass on each and every one of my like nightly runs now, just because I'm like so personally inspired. Like I cannot even go into it in this review because I feel like it would kind of stray away from the actual core substance of the season, but just understand that Anson Mount's character, like Captain Pike, definitely made the season. I definitely like idolize that character, and I plan on making a video in the future kind of recapping all the evidence that leads us to believe that we're actually going to get a standalone Captain Pike series with Ethan Peck playing Spock, and then also, I don't know the actress's name, but I would like to see her play number 1 again because they all did a really good job. Now, I was a little bit confused as to the introduction of the princess that was helping them like kind of get the time crystal and everything charged. She was in a short trek. She was in the first short trek. I have not seen any of the short treks. Right before I started filming this video, I watched that particular short trek for like the first 4 minutes of it. But yeah, I don't think she's actually referenced in any season 1 or season 2. That's like a short trek thing. Some other things to note that happened in this season. Well, Ash Tyler was kind of a dick the whole season. He had some redeeming qualities, but he was kind of a bitchy asshole the whole season. I don't know if they're going to be re-implementing his character or if he's going to play a vital role in season 3. I'm a little bit ignorant to that because of course he was like left back in the main timeline as the rest of the Star Trek Discovery crew went forward like hundreds and hundreds of years into the future, and it stated that he's like the new commander of Section 31. I don't know if that's him basically stealing Leland's role, and he's like a director and he's got some real power now. I don't know if he's going to be a reoccurring character again. Maybe he's just up and done with, and Michael Burnham is really never going to interact with like the main timeline again. I have a hard time believing that. I think the Discovery crew are going to return to the main timeline, and they're probably going to do some more stuff there. I don't really know. Star Trek Discovery is kind of a wild ride. I don't know the direction that they're ever really going in. It's one of the reasons that I'm kind of liking the series so much. It's very in your face, like graphically, just with the characters, everything. I am actually kind of enjoying the new direction that they're taking with Trek. I'm very comfortable with it. Feel like I had to be a little bit open-minded to enjoy season 1 as much as I did, but I don't feel like I had to do that with season 2. I feel like season 2 is just really good. All the episodes were enjoyable. I can't name an episode that was like boring or drab. I really had a lot of fun watching all of them. The huge time travel aspect with the Red Angel suit and Michael Burnham's biological parents and everything provided a lot of cool twists, and I feel like they did it very appropriately. Like, it didn't seem too out there or far-fetched for Trek, if you know what I mean. If you're gonna do time travel in the Trek universe, you've got to do it right, and I feel like that scene when Michael Burnham is using the time suit for the first time and she's traveling through time, I don't know, she's just like screaming. It's really trippy, and it's trying to basically interpret time travel in a way. I just thought that was really awesome and really impactful. L'Rell was also somebody who kind of showed up this season. In the last season, she was kind of a scary character almost. She was the person who like smashed Ash Tyler and Vogue together, and now they've got this child that they've got to deal with. She really seems like, regardless of how she behaved in season 1, she seems to truly care about Ash Tyler, her child, and the Empire, and I've actually grown to respect her as a character in this season, and I actually kind of hope I see L'Rell again. I don't know if she's ever been referenced before in any, because I know like they referenced Kahless in the earlier series and everything. I don't know if L'Rell was maybe on the low-key referenced whenever they go back in the Klingon lore or history, but I definitely would like to see her referenced in future series as like a figurehead in the Klingon timeline, because she's actually like a really cool character. Section 31 staged this whole thing where Ash Tyler and her child basically looked like they're murdered, and she's got to be like, oh yeah, I'm holding up these two heads. I'm no longer, this used to be my life, but now it's all about the Empire. You're gonna call me mother. That was so freaking cool. And on top of that, like the Klingon cleave ship at the end, whew, that was so awesome, guys. Oh, that's another thing we gotta talk about. In that scene with the cleave ship, you could see there was a Klingon next to L'Rell on the control panels who looked very, very, very similar to the Klingons we all know and love in the main series. You could really see them making a huge effort to meld the events of Discovery into the timeline of the other Treks. Like, this series really seems like it could happen in the Star Trek universe. Now, I didn't really have a lot of doubts. I had a few during season 1, but in season 2, I really feel like this now is a true Trek series. Oh, and another thing, guys, I think that Culber is just going to be like in the top 3 Doctors like power level now, because he's one of the few Star Trek characters, I think he might be the only Star Trek character to actually physically perish and die. Like, actually die and come back to effing life. This guy, unlike a lot of doctoring, because don't think that Star Trek Discovery is like kind of a setting where the Doctor is going to flourish as much as he usually does in previous Trek series. But yeah, Culber literally like died and came back to life. Mad respect for him, and the whole kind of relationship between him and Stamets was very dubious and very kind of scandalous this season, but they did end up making up like right at the end. I'm very excited to see how their relationship begins to grow, especially after Stamets thought Culber was like literally like dead. There was no complications either. I thought that maybe he was going to be replaced by some insane homunculi. No, that's just Culber. He's back. You know, he died and came back. That's so funny to me, because that's so like not Trek. You can't like die in Star Trek and come back to life. You're kind of just dead. Like, a lot of characters, they get, you know, they get smashed and pulled apart and transformed into weird ways, and they're able to put them back, but I don't think there's ever been a Star Trek character, quote me if I'm wrong, who played with the very delicate fabric between life and death. So yeah, points for Culber. He's slowly becoming one of my favorite characters and like one of my favorite Doctors, because you know I love the Doctors in Star Trek. Phlox, McCoy, Dr. Crusher, you know, all those great Doctors, we love them all. Also, another thing, if you did not enjoy Engineer Reno at all, like if you didn't enjoy her character, or like the fact that she's like a new engineer and she's definitely going to be in season 3. If you don't enjoy her, I just give up because she's a great ass character. Wow, I love Chief Engineer Reno and I'm so excited to see her in season 3. I feel like she actually had some really awesome dialogue, interacted with Stamets and Culbert really well. Basically brought them right back together. Great new character introduction, honestly. Really, bravo. Bravo, guys. Oh, the Enterprise. The Enterprise looked so good the entire series, from its introduction to when you see it coming out of the hangar for the last time and you see Ethan Peck shave his beard and put on his uniform and finally look like Spock. Oh my gosh, that got me so excited for a standalone Pike series. It's looking very probable and I just want it so badly. But with that, guys, let's give a final kind of score or review for Star Trek Discovery Season 2. I believe I gave Star Trek Discovery Season 1 like an 8 or an 8.5. I'm giving Star Trek Discovery Season 2 a straight and a fucking solid 9. And the person who's really carrying that 9 is, of course, Anson Mount's portrayal of Captain Pike. Talos episode was so awesome, guys. They literally like showed clips of the cage of the original Star Trek pilot at the beginning of that episode. That's so important, and it just shows how when they were creating the season, they really wanted to be loyal to like previous iterations of Trek, and that made me really happy as a Star Trek fan. This season was beautiful. The characters were awesome. The events and everything that happened just kept me excited. I was having fun watching it the whole time. So yeah, guys, Star Trek Discovery Season 2 is getting a solid 9 from me. Well, 9 from me. Anyways, guys, tell me what you think down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please slap a like on it. And I hope you're excited for Star Trek Picard as much as I am. And shortly after Star Trek Picard is releasing, we're also getting Season 3 of Discovery. Expect a lot more of the Captain's Share because now more than ever, I'm like super passionate about Star Trek. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed. I'm gonna have to see you in the next one.